This is our telescope control software.
Using telescopes, researchers can monitor the stars and satellites in our sky.
This guy right here is the satellite.
An important task, Vishnu Reddy says, as more and more satellites are launched into lower Earth orbit. Reddy is a planetary science professor.
Imagine, since the first Model T rolled off the assembly line, and every time the car runs out of gas, you leave it next to the freeway and pick up a new car. So that's what we've been doing to outer space. We have a problem with space traffic management.
It all started in 1957 with one satellite up there, but now in the last few years, I'd say in just by the time Starlink launched their 60, maybe there were 2,200 satellites, and that was it. And we have now, in two and a half years, more than doubled that.
More companies are expressing interest in launching satellites for things like communication, banking, and high-speed internet access.
You'll see that every month.
Connie Walker is the co-director of a new center with a focus on working with scientists and commercial companies, as well as researching the impacts of satellites in our sky. One impact being how they can interfere with scientific observation and data.
Many observatories do long exposures. So when you have long exposures, they're going to be very affected by satellite constellations, especially during twilight hours when they're very, very bright.
They could also impact observatories monitoring for dangers.
Prime example of this is the project that they're using for the potentially hazardous asteroids.
But Vishnu says there are possible solutions being researched.
You can come up with a mitigation scenario where you can close your shutter on your telescope just when the predicted object is going to come through the field of view. And then you can reopen it when it's gone, so that way you don't ruin the picture.
As thousands of pieces float around Earth, the more pieces, the more chances of collision and chain reactions.
There's an environmental aspect of it, and there's a national security aspect of it. It's kind of a strange mix of having those two things, kind of come together in low Earth orbit.
Researchers say it's all about finding balance.
I think it's going to be really hard, to stop commercial companies from doing, what they're doing. There is a need for, global high-speed internet.
All of these add up, and the more you have, the more it's harder to mitigate. It's harder to, identify all those streaks. It's harder to mask all those streaks in the data you get.
They hope continued research will shed some light on the best path forward to benefit everyone before there's too much in space. I'm Chloe Nordquist, reporting.